The current situation with the Pokemon Horizons anime right now is absolutely crazy. Like, we're in completely uncharted territory. For the first time ever, we genuinely have no idea what the rest of the year is gonna look like for anipoke. You see, back in the Ash Ketchum days, everything was super predictable. A new Pokemon generation would begin with new games dropping, then we'd get a new Ash Ketchum anime immediately, and then that series would normally last about 150 episodes or 3 years, and then we'd get another new generation with new games and another new anime. This would repeat generation after generation after generation. We always knew what to expect. But then at the end of Gen 8, Ash Ketchum retired, and because we got the Aim to be a Pokemon Master epilogue miniseries to send off Ash's character, Pokemon Horizons, the Gen 9 anime, didn't start until half a year after the Gen 9 games released. And that kind of threw everything out of whack. We're feeling the knock-on effects of that on the schedule now, because you see, the story of Pokemon Horizons is quickly coming to an end, but the Generation 10 games? They're nowhere in sight. They haven't even been announced yet. So this entire thing has left the Pokemon anime community so confused and trying to figure out what the heck is going on. Like, are we nearly at the end of Pokemon Horizons? And then when will we get the Generation 10 anime? This is the question on everyone's minds right now. So I wanted to make this video to try and clear up everything we currently know and everything that's up in the air. I'm going to talk about official information from Pokemon themselves, and I'm also going to talk about some reputable leakers and what they're saying on the topic. So without further ado, let's try and get to the bottom of whether Pokemon Horizons is really ending. And we'll start with what we know for sure. We know that in the English dub, the 3rd season of Pokemon Horizons, titled Rising Hope, will span 47 episodes in total. This was confirmed by the BBC, who broadcast the English dub of the Pokemon anime in my home country of UK. And we know that Season 3 of the English dub is going to cover the most recent 3 arcs of the Pokemon anime in Japan: Mega Voltage, episode Mega Evolution, and the currently airing Rising Again. 22 of those 47 episodes were the Mega Voltage arc, and 3 of the 47 episodes were in the episode Mega Evolution mini arc. And so it's confirmed that the current arc will end officially on episode 136, which, by the way, is in 10 episodes. Only 10 episodes, dude. And when the total episode count for this arc was first revealed late last year, I was thinking, well yeah, but that's not a problem. We'll 100% get another arc or 2 after Rising Again in Horizons. There's no way Horizons would randomly end in like April, you know? Rising Again can't be the final arc, surely. And that's what I thought anyway. But anyone who's up to date with Horizons knows all too well that things are really wrapping up fast. The past 15 episodes-ish really feels like Horizons is suddenly racing towards the finish line. Everything is happening so quickly and so suddenly. All of the Pokemon on the main cast are evolving one after the other, the 6 heroes have been rescued and freed, Freed himself is back, and now our heroes are training for the big climactic battle against the explorers in the Larkwell Paradise. On top of that, in the real world, all of the advertisements and magazines and promos for the show, as of the past week, they're all emphasizing that we're about to reach the final showdown, the endgame, the final battle. Even the merchandise for the show is starting to reveal stuff like shiny complete form Zygarde that we expect to see in the final showdown. Everything is screaming that we're approaching the finale. It really doesn't feel like there's going to be another arc or 2 arcs after this, you know? The main storyline, the battle against Spinel and the Explorers, is about to be concluded. So because of that, I genuinely believe the main story of Pokemon Horizons is ending in 10 episodes. And that might seem absolutely crazy. Trust me, I didn't believe it at first either. But things really are starting to look that way. Our heroes have all of the 18 Terra-type Pokemon to power up Pagogo. All they have to do now is go to Larkwood, defeat Spinel, and erase the Larkwium forever. That can easily be done in 10 episodes. But like I said earlier, the Pokemon Horizons anime ending in the middle of the year in like April, that feels so weirdly unprecedented, you know? Because the Pokemon anime shouldn't end until the next generation of games are about to release. So on that topic, I want to talk about 3 leakers in this video. Look, I normally don't cover any kind of leaks because I really don't like them, I don't like seeing them, but we're in such unprecedented times with the Pokemon anime right now, we have no idea what's happening for the rest of the year, and there are 3 leakers who I want to talk about who have a lot to say on the topic. And just for context, I would not cover a leaker in my video if I didn't believe they were reputable, you know? The 3 leakers I'm going to talk about are all reputable, they've all been right several times in the past, and they're also people that I've known myself. They're not just random people I found on the internet waffling about whatever. I'm not going to reveal their names or their social medias or anything, because I don't want to get them in trouble of any kind or send a mob their way or anything, but hopefully you guys can trust me. I don't cover this stuff unless it's like proper, you know? I'm going to talk about the leakers with the codenames Leaker A, Leaker B, Leaker C, and we'll start with Leaker A. So Leaker A isn't like an insider, they don't work for the Pokemon anime company or anything, but they have proven time and time again over the past few years that they do have sources and friends who know inside information about the Pokemon anime. So Leaker A has been blatantly stating for an entire month now that episode 136 is the end of Pokemon Horizons, that the entire series is ending in 10 episodes in April. And a lot of people completely refuted that when he first said it, saying there's no way it's ending that soon, and I didn't really believe it either at first, but now that we've seen Pokemon Horizons rush into the final showdown, it genuinely seems quite likely that Liko A could be correct. But if he is correct and Horizons is ending in 10 episodes, then that leaves a really big question. We don't yet know when this year the Generation 10 games are releasing, but most people are assuming that like normal they'll probably release at the end of the year. But if that's the case, then how can Pokemon Horizons end in April? As the Gen 9 anime, how can it end half a year before Gen 10 releases? I mean, surely the Gen 10 anime wouldn't begin in like April, half a year before the games release. Some people are theorizing that maybe the Pokemon anime will go on a break for half a year if it does end in April, and then the Gen 10 anime will begin at the end of the year with the Gen 10 games. But I'm gonna be totally honest here, there is absolutely no chance that Pokemon would give up their primetime Friday TV slot for half a year. Absolutely not, dude. The Pokemon anime only really exists to put it in front of children every week in Japan, so they can sell more merchandise. That's where Pokemon get the vast majority of their revenue. There's no chance they would just disappear with no Pokemon show for half a year. It's like business on a lighter side. So it's really not adding up, you know? How can Horizons feel like it could end in 10 episodes, but then it has to somehow go on until towards the end of the year? Well, there's a chance that the Gen 10 games could release way sooner than we expect, maybe in like early summer. Then the anime would only have to go on a break for like a few weeks or like a month at the most before the Gen 10 anime, but that doesn't seem too likely. And now it's time to bring in the other two leakers that I want to talk about, Liko B and Liko C. So Liko B is someone who I personally am not too familiar with, but they do seem to have a good track record in leaking Legends ZA stuff in the gaming part of Pokemon. I'm not sure where they get their information or whether they even have stuff on the Pokemon anime, so take this with a slight grain of salt, but Liko B directly replied to Liko A's claims, and Liko B straight up said that Horizons is not ending in April, and that it will have more than 136 episodes, that we have more than 10 episodes left. And then Liko C said a similar thing. Liko C, by the way, is the leaker who I personally trust the most, more than any others. He has consistently gotten almost everything right for years. And yeah, Liko C said back in December that there's going to be another 27 episodes at least, which right now means another 10 episodes in the Rise and Again arc, and then at the very least another 10 plus episodes after this arc ends as well, meaning Pokemon Horizons could end at or after episode 147. So how the heck is it possible for all the leakers to be saying different things when all of them are reputable? How can Liko A say that Horizons is ending in 10 episodes in April, but then Liko B and C says that it's not ending then, it's going to go on for longer? I think the truth is somewhere between all of them. Here's why. I think Liko A is correct that Horizons could be ending in April at episode 136, because the main story right now does feel like it's building up to the climax. There's no way they can drag this storyline with Larkwa and Spinel on for another arc or two, but then I also think Liko B and C are correct too, because the main story of Pokemon Horizons ending possibly at episode 136, that doesn't mean the whole of Pokemon Horizons will end then too, it just means the main story will end. And there's no way the anime will go on a break for half a year, like I said, so that means something has to come after the end of the main story of Horizons in April, something to fill the time until the Generation 10 games release. And in my opinion, I think it's most likely that this will happen in the style of an epilogue arc. Sure, the current Rising Again arc could conclude the main storyline of Horizons with Spinel and the Larkwium and Pagogo. That could end in 10 episodes in April, but I think then afterwards the next arc will be like an epilogue, taking place after that. It could be like a final celebration, a final hurrah for the main cast of Horizons. Maybe like 20-ish episodes wrapping up all of the side things in Horizons that weren't concluded in the main storyline. Perhaps like a Pokemon League arc, a tournament arc with all the characters, maybe our heroes battling each of their main rivals for a final time. Definitely a big final Liko versus Roy battle. I mean, heck, they could even adapt some parts of Pokemon Legends ZA as well, like the older Emma, maybe a Mega Evolution storyline where Liko and Dot finally get Mega Evolutions, and maybe with the main storyline of Horizons being over, they could maybe even bring back some Ash anime characters like Karina, Luca, a final arc of like 20 episodes to celebrate the characters one final time and to give them a send-off, fill in the time before Gen 10 starts with a Gen 10 anime with all new characters. That sounds incredible to me, dude, and it wouldn't be the first time the Pokemon anime has done this either. In the Black and White anime after the main story of the Pokemon League and Team Plasma was wrapped up, back then we got a final epilogue style arc of like 25 episodes of our heroes travelling through the Decalore Islands. You could even class Advanced Generations Battle Frontier arc and Kanto was a similar thing. They were filling the time before Pokemon X and Y and Pokemon Diamond and Pearl released, respectively. So if we did get an epilogue style arc, that would kind of mean that all three of the leakers are correct and they don't contradict each other, you know? Liko A would be correct that the main storyline of Horizons is ending in April, and then Liko B and Liko C would be correct that Horizons as a whole isn't going to end in April, it's going to go on longer. Liko C even suggested that an arc in the style of Aim to be a Pokemon Master is possible, kind of like an epilogue arc for the Horizons characters like it was for Ash in Pokemon Journeys. Or who knows man, if Liko B and Liko C are totally incorrect, and Liko A is proven right and Pokemon Horizons completely ends at episode 136 without any follow-up arc or epilogue or anything, then who knows, maybe they'll give us something totally different to fill the time before the Gen 10 games and the Gen 10 anime later in the year. Maybe they'll give us like a random side story with new characters, maybe like like a Pokemon Chronicles kind of thing, showing off past characters, maybe an experimental project, or heck, maybe they'll bring Ash Ketchum back for a 20-episode mini-arc. They can make him the protagonist for half a year again, just to kind of tide us over for the next generation. That could be like a 30th anniversary thing, maybe. Right now we're in totally uncharted territory and anything could happen, dude. You know it's hard to predict when even the leakers who normally agree with each other aren't agreeing with each other on what's happening next. But the one thing we know for sure is that the Rising Again arc is ending in 10 episodes, and the main storyline of Horizons is wrapping up. So my prediction is that after this storyline is wrapped up in April, we'll either get a Pokemon Horizons epilogue arc, or maybe an Ash Ketchum miniseries, and that will fill the time until the Gen 10 games and the Gen 10 anime release. So yeah, the current situation with the Pokemon anime is crazy, dude. But what do you think? What are you predicting? Do you think Horizons is ending for good in 10 episodes? Or do you think we'll get an epilogue afterwards? Do you think they'll somehow stretch the main story till the end of the year? Or are you gonna go really crazy and hedge your bets on Ashy Boy returning? Let me know what you think below. All I know is I can't believe we're here again, man. Once again near the end of another Pokemon anime generation. It really does feel like I was making these videos about the end of Pokemon Journeys just the other day. And now here we are again, dude. So be sure to like and subscribe if you enjoyed the video. I'd really appreciate that because we're so close to 150k subscribers, dude. I wonder if we can hit it before the end of Horizons. Thank you to all of my incredible channel members on screen right now. That includes Jay, Jascadia, Toten, Not Mini, Fizz, Shareborn, Hope, Finny, Shiny. You guys are actually the best. So on that note, best wishes until we meet again!